episode of the Canadian Watch Monkey, and today I'm going to be showing you a tip here that could save you a bunch of money. Now, if you're into Seiko watches, then you're familiar with a material called Hardlex, which is much harder than just your typical acrylic crystal, but it is softer than the sapphire crystal or glass that you find in some watches. But anyway, this is going to work for the Hardlex, which is considered by many as not polishable. Well, I'm here to show you what you're going to need and how to do it. All right, so just to give you a quick rundown, this watch here used to look like this, and within about half an hour or so I got the watch crystal looking pretty much like new. So I'm going to zoom up on this one here. Okay, and this is my blue Pogue, and you can see the crystal here is pretty scratched up. I'm just going to try to get in a little closer for you guys there, so you can see how badly scratched up this is. You can really see it there. Hang on, there you go. All right, so this is pretty battered. From a distance, it doesn't look too bad, but definitely it's pretty rough. And most people would actually consider just replacing the crystal here, or the Hardlex. But I would rather try and save it, keep the original crystal with the watch, as these watches are considerably more valuable kept with its original parts, let alone that the fact if you wanted to replace this crystal with a new old stock Seiko Hardlex, you're looking at least $100 US for the part. All right, so that's what a rough one looks like, and this is what the polished one looks like. Now, this is my Seiko UFO. Of course, the crystals are the same, and this one was even in worse shape than the one that you just saw. And you can see here, it looks really great. There's still a few little scratches. I didn't want to get too carried away. I guess if I spent another, 10-15 minutes, I could get that out. But in my eyes, this is more than good enough. I'm very happy with how that turned out, considering what it looked like before starting. So there you go. So the materials you're going to need and the equipment, number one, you should get a Dremel. Okay, so this is a controllable variable speed Dremel. And I picked this up on, I think, from Canadian Tire. They're roughly about $100 or something like that anyways, and you get some tips with them. You're going to need one of these tips too for final polishing. Now, the sandpapers that you're going to need is this wet dry sandpaper by 3M. Now, you're going to need a few different grits. You can get away with 800 and 2000, but to make the job better and easier, the more grits you have, the better. So you're going to start off with the most aggressive one, and this is a 400. Okay, so this one here, you can see P400 is quite abrasive to the touch. So you start off with that, and I'll be showing you how to use that. And then you'll go next to the 800, which is this one here. And it's not quite as aggressive. And then you're going to go a little bit lighter. Some people go straight to 2000, but I opted to pick up some 1500. So this is a little bit smoother. And this one you're definitely going to be using wet. Actually, all of them work best if you're using a little bit of water. They're not drenched, they're just moist. And then finally, you're going to go to 2000. And that's almost going to get it to where you need it to get the final gloss and shine back, because I found the first time I did this one here, it kind of had a slight fog to it. And I thought, you know what, there's got to be a way to get that a little bit brighter. So I did a little bit of research, and this product here is what you need. And this one I got off of Amazon, and it was about, I think, about $18 or $20. And it's specially designed to polish glass. Okay, and I'll be showing you how to use that as well. And if you want the name of the product there, I think that's pronounced Cerium Oxide. And it's just a pink powder, and you mix this with water, just a little bit. So you take a little bit of it out, put it in a container, add a little bit of water so you get a paste, and then you'd put that onto the crystal. And then you would polish it. And this one here, by the way, I polished it to this state by hand. I did not use the Dremel but I do believe that the Dremel will do a little bit better job. But anyways, I'm going to turn the camera off for now, and we'll show you how to do this. All right, so here we go. We got the workstation set up here. I've got my papers. I've got everything ready to go. So I'm going to show you how to turn this. I'm going to try to get that a little bit clear for you. There you go. You can see it's pretty badly scratched. Okay. And I'm going to try and make it as nice as this. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off with 400. I'm just going to start off with a small piece here. And I've got a little bit of water here. Okay, maybe I should just pull this back a bit. Hang on a sec, guys. Just let me pull it back a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, get that back in focus. All right. Okay, so I'm just gonna get this damp a bit. Now, the nice thing with the Seiko Pogue here and the UFO is that the crystals are raised. And what I mean by that is you don't have to remove the crystal to do this, because you can see it sits proud above the bezel. Okay, so no need to remove it on these particular watches. On some you will need to remove it, or at least tape it off. Okay, so I'm going to just start with circular motion. This is with 400, so this is pretty aggressive. Okay, you can do it by hand like this if you like, or the other way you can do it is like this. I'll just show you in a sec here. I get a little bit more water. Okay, and you can put the watch down like this and just go back and forth. And you're going to see that the watch's crystal's actually going to start to get cloudy, which is normal. Okay, I'm going to probably need a little bit bigger piece of paper. I'm going to need a towel. I got a towel here anyway. All right, so just going back and forth like this. And make sure you keep it flat, okay? You don't want to be going like this and scratching up your bezel. So let's just take a quick look and see how we're making out here. Sorry about bumping the camera there. So you can see it is definitely introducing some scratches. All right, so let's just continue on a little bit more by hand. Okay, and you can actually feel the abrasiveness against the crystal, obviously. So you are definitely removing material. So you just want to keep going kind of in a circular pattern and back and forth, just to make sure you're getting the whole crystal, and especially the areas that are deeply scratched. So you can see definitely moving material. Now, if your crystal is not so badly scratched, you don't need to start with 400. You could, 400, yes. You could start with like an 800. Just less work in the long run, I guess. Okay, so let's take a look and see where we're at right now. Wipe that down. Okay, so we're not seeing a lot of difference yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bigger piece of paper, a lot bigger. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit more force. Just get the paper wet a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to be pushing down a little bit harder now. Okay, so grab a good hold of the watch. You can remove the bracelet if you like, but I'm lazy, so I'm going to leave the bracelet on. Okay, you're just kind of going back and forth like this. And you're going to do this for some time. It's not a quick process. If it's going to take long, what I might do is just pause and then wait till I'm going to be going to the next grit, which would be the 800. Okay, so go back and forth. And you can pick up this paper, by the way, at places like Lordco or automotive places, where they say automotive supplies. Okay, so still got a long way to go. But trust me, it's going to get there. It just takes time. Okay. And like I said, if it looks like it's going to take a little longer than anticipated, what I'm going to do is just pause the camera and wait till I get to the next level. So we still got some deeper scratches there, But now we're starting to make some progress. I can definitely see it's starting to take shape. But really, it's kind of one of those things. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Trust the process. All right, so keep going, keep going. Okay. So anyway, for those of you that aren't huge fans of Seiko, you're missing out, especially these vintage Seikos. I'm a big fan of the chronographs, as you can tell. And it's kind of a little bit of a recent discovery for me. I've got some pretty nice watches. I've got the Omega Speedmaster Pro. Actually, it's the first Omega in space, FOIS model. I've got some Zenith El Primeros and so on, and I like them all. And these are no slouch, that's for sure. Okay, so you can see we're really starting to cut now. It's gotten quite foggy. You can see right there. Still got a little bit more work to do. So I'm just going to put a little bit more water here. And you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it in real time here for you guys so you can see my struggles are real. And I'm putting some pretty decent force down too. I'm not going light. If I were to just guesstimate, I'm going to say I'm probably putting about 5 or 10 pounds of force down onto the watch while I'm doing this. And so you can regulate the pressure. Again, making sure that the watch is staying flush to the surface that I'm on, so we're not doing any damage to the bezel. Okay, so we're still cutting and still got a little bit more to go, but it's progressing quite nicely. And like I said, if yours isn't so badly scratched, you don't need to start with 400. That's pretty aggressive. Okay. Just keep going back and forth. Like I said, you're just kind of keeping even pressure on the watch, making sure it's not tilting in any way. Like I said, you're going to damage the bezel. So just curious, how many of you guys are actually into the Seiko vintage chronographs? Be interesting to hear from you. And by the way, if you have any questions about anything I'm doing here, you're more than welcome to ask. Now, you can also do this with any Hardlex Seiko, but just keep in mind, if it's a dome, you're not going to be able to just lay it down on a flat surface like that and do it. It's not going to work. You create flat spots and all kinds of stuff. You're going to have to probably do that by hand with a Dremel. Okay, let's take a look and see how we're doing here. Hang on. So you can see, you definitely got a very foggy look. All right, so we still got some deeper ones here. Let me just see if I can get that just by working on that area directly, because the rest seems to be pretty good. It just seems to be got a couple stubborn ones there. Okay, again, making sure you're not scratching the bezel. If you're concerned at all, you can always mask it off. So you can definitely see this is a little bit laborious, tedious, whatever you want to call it. But it does work very well. We're at the 9-minute mark. Okay, let's take a look and see what we got here. Okay, not bad. Still, we got a little bit there. But you know what? I think for all intents and purposes, I think that's going to be good enough for now. You can always come back and do a little bit more later. I know this is going to be a long video. I think what I might do seriously is just cut the other parts a little bit shorter. But I wanted you to see that this is actually really doing something. It's cutting the surface of the crystals to remove all the scratches that have accumulated over the years. Keep in mind, this watch here is a 1972, and that is the original Hardlex that came with the watch. Like I said, there's something to be said about keeping a watch original. All right, like that. Okay, so there we have it. And you know what? I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to pause the camera now. I'm going to be going to an 800 grit, which is this one here. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. All right, so I'm going to pause it for now, and I'll get back after I've finished with the 800, so you can take a look and see what's going on. Okay. Okay, so I'm just about done with the 800. So again, same thing, using wet sandpaper and just kind of going back and forth, round and around, making sure you're getting the whole crystal, again, keeping the watch flat. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with the 800. I've been doing this now for about 10-15 minutes. Let's take a look. We'll wipe this down and see where we're at. And one moment. Okay, so that's what it's looking like right now. Looking a lot better, that's for sure, but we still got a ways to go. Okay, so again, we go to the next stage. So that was the 800, you can see that there. So now we're gonna move to the 1500 and then to the 2000, or we might even stop at 1500 and then I'm gonna use the polish. All right, so here's the 1500, there's the 2000. So we're doing 1500 now. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn the camera off and I'll put it back on again once I'm just about done with it. Okay, so I'm getting pretty close to the end of the 1500. Now I'm not rubbing quite as hard. I'm just going back and forth and just making sure, covering the whole crystal. And the easiest way to do that definitely is lie it flat on a hard surface and push down. And again, I can't stress the importance of keeping the watch flush. Otherwise you risk damaging your bezel. And okay, and then my next step will be going to the 2000, and then I'll be doing a polish on it. And I did take a peek. It's coming along pretty good. I think you guys are gonna be fairly impressed. But this is by far the best way to do this. All right, so here we go. Let me wipe this down. And you can already see it's already getting clearer. We're not at peak clearness, that's for sure, but let's go take a look and see where we're at now. Okay, so you can see definitely looking much, much better. But wait till we put the polish on it, then you'll really see how nice it is. So anyway, I'm gonna pause again. This time I'm going to 2000, okay? I'm not even gonna show you the 2000, but I will show you when I'm about ready to polish this. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause for now. Okay, so I'm just about done with the 2000. I was continuing with the lap sanding, or they call it lapping anyway, when you're pushing against a surface and using your hand pressure against it like this. So this is what's referred to as lapping, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier. Okay, so again, you're kind of going, you can start a little bit heavier pressure and then go lighter, because again, what you want to do is get rid of all the little swirls and little marks, okay? So this is not quite buffing, obviously, but you're getting close now. So let's take a look and see what we got now with the 2000. Okay, I'm just gonna polish that off. Okay, just get in a little closer. There we go. So you can see it's starting to get clear. A lot of the deep scratches are out. So you got these little swirls and stuff that I'm going to polish out next. And what I'm going to be using is this paste here. Okay, I mentioned that in the very beginning of the video. I got this off of Amazon. And yeah, this stuff works really good. It made quite a difference on this one here. So you can still see the difference. Like this is the finished product. And this is where we're at right now with the 2000. So I'm going to try it by hand first, and then I will try it with the machine if it doesn't turn out. Okay, so hang on a sec. I'm just going to grab the mix of paste. Okay, so I pre-mixed this, and you don't need a lot of water, that's for sure. It's kind of, I don't know if you've ever made pancakes, but you'll know you can adjust the liquidity or viscosity with not much water being added. And it's very easy to add too much. So, okay, so we're just going to put that onto the crystal here and just kind of work it around. Okay, and this is a polishing. All right, so this is actual polish. And let's start off with, you can use a microfiber or even a paper towel or whatever. And I'm just gonna see how good I can get this by hand. All right, so I'm just gonna pause the camera again, and I'm just gonna keep doing this. And I will stop and we'll check and see how I managed by hand. If that didn't work out as good as I wanted, then I'm gonna bring out the Dremel and we'll see how that works out. So again, I'm just gonna pause here and I'm gonna continue what I'm doing. Okay, so I've been doing this for about another 10 minutes or so. I'm just gonna do one last bit. I'm just using my cloth here. Always make sure your cloths are clean. You wanna use like a fiber or something like that. So just keep going. And you want to kind of put a buff on it. So you want to go a little bit faster, a little bit lighter. At first you can start with a little bit heavier pressure. You kind of get a feel for these things after a while. And I'm going to take a look now. If I'm happy with it, I'm going to stop there. If I'm not, I'm going to take my Dremel out and finish it off. So let's take a quick peek and see where we're at now. So it's actually looking pretty good. Hang on. So give that a quick buff. So just very light, fast movement to get that. See, I got some of this paste in there. That's not a big deal at all. Okay, so let's take a quick look and see what we got. You guys can be the judge. Okay, so definitely much better than it was. Again, you know, the more time you spend on it, the better it's going to be. But these watches are worn and they're going to get scratched up again. So I don't get too crazy with it. I figure if I spend about an hour in total, that's about enough time for me. Okay, so you can see, it looks pretty good. I'm going to try, you see those little hairlines there? You can kind of see. I'm going to try polish that out with the Dremel. So here is the Dremel that I'll be using. If you're going to be using a Dremel, you need to have one that you can adjust the speed, and you're going to need a soft tip, something like this. Okay, so again, I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to use the Dremel on this. Actually, I'll just quickly show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'm just going to dab a little bit on there. Now, you just kind of spread it around with the tip before you turn it on. Otherwise, you're going to get spray all over the place. And you want to start off at a lower speed. Okay, so just to kind of get the mix around, and you're not getting it all over the place. Again, if you're not very confident with your skills, you can always avoid doing this. But I'm pretty confident, like you can take the crystal out of the glass. But I've done this a few times, and I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of going around and around. Again, making sure you don't hit the bezel. And you kind of want to brace it and just kind of, you know, take your time. And I'm going to be doing this for a few minutes. And I'm going to see if it makes any difference using this Dremel. A little bit higher speed. I'll just take this a little bit. Again, making sure you don't hit the bezel. I'm going to do this for a few minutes, so rather than boring you to death, I'll turn the camera off for now, and I'll come back to you after I'm done, and we'll see the final result of this polish. Oh, make sure it doesn't get too hot either. So you want to touch the crystal every once in a while too. You don't want to put too much heat into the watch, by the way. Okay, so I've repeated this process a few times of putting this on the crystal and working it in, and use the Dremel, and we'll check out the final results in a moment. I'm just going to do a last final buffing and just kind of dab that around there like that. I think you guys are going to be pretty impressed with the results. So if anyone ever tells you, oh, you can't take the scratches out of Hardlex, you know it's not true. You can absolutely do it. Just takes a little bit of work. And again, the sanding process that I was using is called lapping. That's when you're just moving the watch head along a flat surface that's got the abrasive on it. Okay, so right now I'm just going lighter and lighter, going back and forth, and we'll see the final results of my efforts. And you tell me if you think it was worth it. So this took, I'd say just about an hour, maybe a little bit less. Don't forget I'm recording and stopping, but I can check the time on the watch too. That'll tell us exactly how long it took because I haven't monkeyed around with the time. So if you check back on the video, you'll see what time I started and you'll see what time I finished. But just off the top of my head, I'm going to say somewhere between half an hour to an hour. Be surprised if it's more than that, but you never know. Might have been doing this for 2-3 hours and I just lost track of time. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going lighter and a little bit faster. All right. Flip the cloth around, get a nice clean piece of cloth. Again, it's imperative to make sure that your cloth is clean. Okay, so I'm just using a regular type of lens cleaner type cloth that I had kicking around. Okay, so let's buff. So again, with buffing, just you're gonna go lighter, a little bit faster, that's all. You just kind of lightly giving that a nice polish. And let's, okay, I think I'm done, guys. Okay, that's, again, you can put this underwater just, or with a toothbrush and so on, just to clean it off. I'm not going to do that for you guys this time, but okay. All right, so let's zoom in and let's take a look at the final results. So there you go. That's the final results, guys. I would say that's definitely a win. That looks pretty damn good if you ask me. So again, these were the two watches and they were pretty scratched up to the point where most people probably would have just replaced the crystals. And you can see that there's absolutely no need to do that. And that's the finished product. I'm very happy with that and that. So that's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Canadian Watch Monkey. Curious to see how long that actually took. I lost a little bit of track of time there. Okay, take care.